Fundraising's underway, man. Let's get it rocking.
Hey, fun. Episode 89. Sister Bridget, hi. Great to see you. We missed you. Episode 89. They say that the 89th episode of any series is supposed to be really, really special, so we'll let everyone else decide that today. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us, the HGA free webinar series. My brother, Jason Ledlow. I'm Trevor Nelson, and we're here to talk about year-end asking, right? Mm-hmm. And we've, like I said, gone over this topic before. It seemed like probably about a year ago. We've learned a lot since then, and we're very eager to share it. So thanks for everyone that's here watching the live recording. Obviously, if you've registered, you're watching this as a recording. You can watch this in perpetuity, and that's fantastic. Please share it. Stay to the very end, everyone that's here live. We're going to host a drawing for an auction item that you can use at your next event. We're going to get right to it. We've got a really cool chat feature, of course, that we can all share. Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. We're going to be monitoring that, the entire time. Hey, I see a lot of new names, and if you haven't been with us before, thanks a ton. Thanks a ton, and thanks everyone out there that's been sharing the webinars and the podcast. But if you haven't been here before, super interactive. This is not your grandmother's webinar, so super interactive. Lots of back and forth, conversations. We want to hear from everyone. Want to hear what's worked, what hasn't worked, hits, misses, so that way we can come out the other end with some good, encouraging strategies about how to make your year-end asks, how to make them as impactful as possible. Jason and I, that's the impetus, right? Let's finish this strong. There's a lot of people that want to give. And Jason said something really, really indelible to me the other day, and I'll quit yapping, but he said, this is when you pick up the most powerful fundraising tool that you have, your phone, for instance, and you're calling your top donors and supporters. You want to make sure that you tell them what you've accomplished. Always mission first. You want to make sure that you tell them what you're doing currently, and you want to tell them, of course, what you plan on doing at your organization, what the future holds, and why you need them to help. Obviously, because they can and because they care. But those three things were really indelible to me, Jay, when you talked to me about that the other day. And I was like, wow, that's just perfect. It's 3 steps. I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but here we go.
Well, we're so glad you could be here. And one thing I just want to point out real quick, behind me, you'll see it says, "Hey, nonprofits," the whole thing.
There it is.
Hey, nonprofits, raise more money. If you're into podcasts at all, or even if you're not, go to Spotify, go to Apple iPod, and just look at the podcast. These are all about 15, 20 minutes, and they're really some great information. And we'd love for you to have that and share that as a resource for you as well. So, I'm going to show some slides. We're going to back up and talk about it and everything. And
cool.
This whole thing about finish strong is really important to me.
Love it.
Because
it's a mindset.
It is. Let me get my setup here going. Oh, where is it? Why is it down there?
Thanks everyone that just came in. Hey, C.
So, year-end asks and how to maximize your efforts. Now, there's going to be some stuff here that you're going to know, that you're going to say, oh, yeah, okay, I got that. And that's great. I definitely want you to do that. But also, I think there's going to be some things that maybe you haven't thought about, because there's some things that I haven't thought about. And it's really interesting to me about how this all goes. And so I just want to flip through some stuff. The first thing is, what are your current plans? Are you currently planning on doing year-end letters, email campaigns, phone calls? I'd love to have everybody just kind of pop a deal up there and just say what you're going to do.
Hey, Jake, can you change the chat feature to so we can see everyone?
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry at all, brother. I just want to.
Yep, they sure are. Now everybody can see it.
All right.
Yeah, I'd love to have everybody that's here just go ahead and pop in and tell me, what are you guys planning on doing? Do you typically do a year-end letter? Do you do an email? Do you do phone calls? There's not a right, wronger in this, but what we want to share is just some things that we've learned that are really indelible, especially going into this year, going into 23. Everybody knows the last couple of years were kind of whack. This 22 seems like it's kind of straightened out.
They're behind us, thank you.
And they're behind, and we don't want to look back. And so, but some things that have come out of that. Chat still shows only that.
Sorry, we just want to make sure that we can see everyone's stuff, y'all. So
Sorry, now I got it right.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
sorry.
Year-end letter and Christmas card. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Good.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, sister.
Email blast for Giving Tuesday. Good. Year-end letter. Board phone calls with emails.
Love that.
Good.
Love that.
Good.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's really good. And so now we're talking about all formats, talking about matching gift. These are the things we're going to do. So that's really critical. The thing I want to talk about next is, if I can get my buttons right here, is what is your message?
So important.
And I think this is something that gets missed a lot is,
love it.
What is your message that you're going to be sharing with your nonprofits, with your donors about your nonprofit? Because I get a lot of these letters, and I've read them, and I read them because, number one, I care, I'm interested, but also seeing what people are saying. And a few things that have come away and that we've learned in looking at effective stuff. And I'm going to mention a guy here real quick. His name's Mark Phillips. He's a Brit. He lives in London. He has a company called Blue Frog, and they help do this. And he's been doing it for 30 years. Really, really good stuff that he's a resource that I look to. Even though they're in the UK, it's different, but some of the
they've still been fundraising for a long time.
They've been doing it for a long time. And some of the things when he talks about, some of the things they talk about is whenever the pandemic and people were making asks, what they did a study and they said during the pandemic, if people said, poor, pitiful me, we're really struggling, we really need your help, their donations went down. When people said, we're still out here serving, we're still our mission, this is what we're doing, this is what we've done, this is what we're going to do, when they started doing that and talking about that, their donations went up. People want to associate with a winner. And the really interesting thing from the study was the mindset from the interviews and from the study that they did was that people made an assumption, if the nonprofit goes down, there'll be another one that will take its place. That was the assumption that most people had. So if somebody's struggling, they're about to go down, they don't want to put their money there because they're afraid that, well, I'm just going to throw my money away and they're going to go broke and just close up shop.
Totally.
They want to put their money with a winner. So something that we've kind of developed out of that is, and we talk about this a lot with just when you're trying to get the right people in the room, trying to get events, trying to do this thing, and it goes also at the end of the year, is what are you going to ask people? And the thing that you want to talk to them about is number one, mission first. What is your mission?
Always.
That is the most important thing more than anything else that you're going to talk about to your donors. That's what they want to hear about. That's what they want to know. They don't care, that you painted the building. Now, that may mean something specifically, and that's okay to include that information, but your mission has to be first. Your mission has to be priority. Your mission has to always stay in front of your donors. And the second part of that is, within your mission, what have you done? In other words, you're telling them, this is what we've done, what we're doing, and what we're going to do.
Love that.
We want to give a past, present, and future, because that's how we're going to do our ask. This is what we did as being a good steward. And we're going to send these slides out. So I'm going to flash back and forth because this is not a slideshow, but it's good to do afterwards. And it's also good to keep me on track because I get to going. Becky, you said
Great
we're
feedback,
headed into our
Becky.
10th year. As an organization. So highlighting how we've grown, looking ahead to the future growth. That's exactly right.
And people want to be a part, like Jason said, people want to be a part of that because we know you all have been hitting it out of the park with your fundraising. So I think people, like Jason said, people want to be a part of that growth, right? They want to feel like they're on your team. I think that's a fantastic message. Good for you.
I think that we forget, and I'm just basing this on a lot of my experiences. We get caught up in what's going on around us in the world, what's on the news. Maybe some current events, some stuff, that's
Don't get me going. Don't get me going, Jay. I got my 1, 2, 3.
There's a really interesting thing that came out. It says, what about world events? Don't address complaints or issues that have not been made by your donors. I thought that was really brilliant when I read that. And
yeah, I thought so too.
To a study that when you start talking about doom and gloom and you start talking about, well, we're not really sure. Inflation is up.
Yeah.
You know, we're really got to make, we know that. And, you know, the other
People
thing
can get that
I've
anywhere.
read-
People can get that anywhere by the bucket,
Yeah.
brother. You know,
I read this and it astounded me. I'm not going to say who it was, but it astounded me that they started making assumptions on what their donors' financial situation was.
can't
And
do
I'm
that.
like, we're in this, but we're around these people all the time. We
can't do
know that they've got money that they're willing to donate, even in the worst economy,
Yeah.
even in the worst times. And for those of us that have been around this for a long time, we know that even in the worst economies, people still donate. They still give. We just saw it coming through the pandemic. Donations went up.
Record numbers. You can't let those things, those existential things, shroud your vision and shroud your message. You cannot let that happen.
So I just didn't want to encourage you, keep that stuff out of your communication. Keep that out of there and don't even bring it up.
Because folks are getting that. Be different. I mean, it's a massive, massive quality in business. Obviously, you're in business, raising money for your mission. Being different and not doing that and not touching those points that are so obvious that people get, like I said, by the bucket every day. That's really impactful. It can be really good if you focus on what you're doing in the world. We're of the impression too, though, Jason, we just had this conversation the other day, and we'll do a deep dive on it on a podcast, but we're under the impression that if there is doom and gloom, let's just say it really does happen and it's inevitable or what have you, economically, and this, that, and the other thing, if you love what you do and you love your mission, because we applied the same thought and question to ourselves. We love what we do and we love our mission and we love who we get to help. We almost feel like you have more of an obligation when the chips are down. You know what I mean? When there is true gloom and things like that, we almost feel like you have more of a duty to get your product, service for us, your mission out there and to help as many people as possible. I mean, that's really not trying to put pressure on people, but that's how we feel.
Well, it's a fact. I mean, if you stop fundraising, you're not going to get any money. Your mission's going to suffer.
Yep.
If you stop fundraising, your mission's going to suffer. And, I understand that everybody here are professional fundraisers and this is what you do. And that's what my encouragement is just when you're doing your messaging, make sure that's what your messaging is and be thoughtful about that. This next one is probably going to surprise everybody, but I'm going to talk about it because I think it's really important. It's something that we're becoming more aware of all the time. And I'll tell you why. So presbyopia. What is it and why does it matter? This is a physiological condition that affects older donors' ability to focus. Make sure younger team members understand this when they are designing materials for your donors. There's also an app. This is an app that helps with making sure you get it right. And I want to thank Mark Phillips again from Blue Frog for bringing this up. We do this. I didn't even have a name for it.
Yeah.
But with all of our materials come out, I'm almost 54. I'll be 54 in less than 2 weeks. Yeah. So I have it. Okay. Stuff that it's frustrating. I got glasses. My wife's got 4 or 5 pair of glasses. We all walk around.
I order at restaurants for Jason. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's always this stuff. But there is there are fonts and colors that are very difficult for us to read when you have this. And anybody here has that issue, you can attest to it. But by using the correct fonts, thinking about how your colors are, a lot of times we'll have stuff. And just so you know, our marketing team is made up of a 30-year-old and a 23-year-old. They see perfectly. Okay. Yeah. They don't have that problem. So they do stuff from a design standpoint that comes out and it looks awesome and it looks great from a design perspective, but to read the material, it's really difficult. Yep. And if anybody's had any trouble reading our emails or something, I'd love that feedback because that's what we're trying to eliminate that. And I didn't even have the name with it. I just knew that I can't read this. And if I can't, other people can't.
Totally. Yeah. Also, we are big believers in less is more. I mean, a lot of times you can get your messaging across with less, you know what I mean? Just honestly, less words, less minutia. Yeah.
Well, and your point to that is, Trevor, there's 3 kinds of people. One is that we know based on the study, these studies that were done, that there are some people who only read the first page and they know whether they're going to donate or not based on that. There are other donors, they do want to read. In fact, a higher percentage of people that donate found out that they did read the entire thing.
They're analytical.
In other words, sometimes people will put like a year-end report. They'll put, lot of more details and things like that, I want to encourage you to do that. So we're still talking about mission first. This is where you put in the, what have we done? As we look back at the year 2022, we were able to serve this many people. That's an increase of 15% from 2021, that kind of stuff.
Love that.
Currently, we're trending that we're going to serve more this. And next year in 23, this is what we hope to accomplish. And that's kind of how you back all that up.
Love that.
So I think you've got to remember that you're talking to multiple people, multiple generations. Most of your donors, I think everybody will agree, is going to be that, they're over 40, 50s, in their 50s and 60s or older. We know that because as younger generations come up, they do become more giving. That doesn't mean that they don't give, but for significant gifts, the people that are doing it, that make those gifts, we do see that. So making sure that you're putting the information in there, but using some of those things about what our mission is, what we've done, what we're doing, and what we're going to do. Then finally, the last part that we would encourage you to do that we're seeing is this right here. Base your ask on what you're going to do.
Yep.
Use your mission of what you're going to do to set the giving amounts and tie your mission to giving. The reason I say that, a lot of times somebody will say, help us keep this great work going, and donate $1,000. They've got, the 150 or 100, 200, 500, whatever numbers you put out there. And they're not tied to anything. And what we've learned, not only from just research, but also from the live ask during events, when people know what their money is going to do and we can tie that, we can connect their heartstrings to their wallet, they give significantly more money. We use this example. So if anybody has a camp or something, this is not pointed at you. It's just, it's just an easy one to use. That let's just say it's $1,000 to send a kid to camp, and we're trying to send 100 kids. We need to raise $100,000. How many of you, Trevor, I'm reaching out to see how many kids you would be willing to sponsor this year. How many kids would you help? So you're doing that, and you break out that giving, and if you can break out tie your dollars into that. Now that doesn't mean it's a restricted gift. I'm not suggesting that there's ways to word that. And if somebody, needs some help on that, there's resources out there. We're glad to help you. But what you want to do is tie it to your mission, whatever your mission is. And I know some folks, they're going like, well, we got 37 different things we do. Yeah, but you're still serving a specific place here, and you can talk about that. If you don't know and you say, I'm not really sure, how many people did you serve last year? How many people did you serve? If you served 100, take what your budget is, divide it by, what your projected budget is, divide it by 100, and there you go. Now you know what it costs.
Perfect.
And, I just believe that people want to buy impact. They want to know what their dollar is going to. And when they can associate it with something, they're more apt to give. And we just see that practically in fundraisers whenever they're out here doing this. So we're like doing Fund a Need and organizations that we're raising a lot of money with Fund a Need when they do that. So
for sure.
The website, Sister Bridget, I'm going to I'll send this out, but it's called,
we can put it in the show notes.
It's called Xscope, and we'll send the link and all that out there for it, but it's called Xscope. And you pay for it. I don't know what it costs. I don't get anything for it. I'm just using that and making the suggestion because that's what they talked about. And I think anytime you can get a tool like that that's going to help, do it. And here's a simple way to do it. Find somebody that has a hard time reading stuff and say, read this for me and tell me what it says. Are you having an issue with it or you're not?
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating if we can't get our message across at the end.
Yeah, that's how we do it. I mean, they get me, the old guy, to sit there and read something, and I look at it and I go, I can't read this.
Sometimes we get 4 sets of eyes on some stuff, before we really crank it out there. Yeah. We got a spell checker on staff as well, so that's good. You know who that is. I'm not going to name names, but we got a spell checker.
Okay, so what questions are out there, and if somebody has a disagreement or you think that we're wrong, please tell me. I would, this is a open forum. We're not experts we're
enthusiasts.
We're enthusiasts because we want to learn as well, because the more stuff that we can learn, the more we can share that out.
Love it.
Does this help? Is this some good information? Is there anything here that you've not ever heard before? I can tell you the Presbyterian presbyopia thing was a big deal for me because I knew what it was,
What's
but I
real?
didn't know what it was called.
Yeah.
I just knew that I couldn't read anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'd love to hear some feedback as well, actually, based on what have you done in the past at the end of the year and what's worked. And the flip side, not because we believe in negativity, but we want to know what hasn't worked. So maybe we can add some flavoring and some strategies to your year-end ask moving forward. To reiterate once again, what hit me right in between the eyes was what Jason said, just keeping it, simple. It is simple to have these actionable steps. This is what we've done. This is what we're doing. And this is what we plan on doing. And this is why we need you to help. We cannot speak, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but we cannot speak enough to making it quantifiable for people and making the message precise, right? If you want to do video, fantastic. Email, great. Picking up the phone to a major donor, we're real huge fans of that. And to board members and things of that nature, and to network in that regard. But making it quantifiable, hey, this year we sent 75 kids to camp because we raised $75,000 and it costs $1,000 to send each kid to camp. Next year, we're looking to send 125,000 or 125 kids to camp. So we need $125,000 because the price point is the same, or the investment is the same. We know that you can. We know that you care. How many kids would you like to send to camp? You know, that kind of messaging. I'm just dumbing it down, but you get my point. So being as focused and intentional on that, on what you're doing moving forward, and celebrate. You know, hey man, I don't believe in looking through the rearview mirror too much. But celebrating your wins, it's a really good opportunity, don't you think?
Oh,
and congratulating
absolutely.
folks has something to do with that.
You've got to talk about what you've done, because that sets the basis and the proof that you can do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you served 10 people last year and you say, yeah, but 2023, we're going to serve 1,000. Okay.
Sure.
You need to explain that. If that's what you're going to do, you need to talk about it, why you're able to do that. Maybe there is a matching gift, you know, that you just received and you've brought on extra staff and you're going to be able to do that.
Seen that a lot.
You've got to justify what you're asking for in there. And it doesn't have to be some big, long,
dissertation,
in-depth review. I mean, you don't have to reveal everything and go through the whole 9 yards. You just got to get people to understand where you're going and why.
Yep.
I want to mention
Love
Michelle mentioned, I think it was Michelle, and if it was Michelle or maybe it was Melissa, I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
Yeah. Hit it, bro.
Talking about having the board make phone calls. Yeah, Melissa.
Yep.
I love that. Mm-hmm. I think that making a phone call is one of the most important things that you can do. It's like sending a handwritten note.
Love that.
It's very personal. It means you took time. It's not something that was just we didn't just type it up on the email, our email generator, and just pump it out to 1,000 people or 5,000 people, whatever your donor base is.
Yeah.
So, how's that gone, Melissa? Would you mind just saying that, what you've seen the benefit of that is, and would you share that for a second?
Yeah. How has the response been? Because, that generic, like you said, 1,000 print press approach, we can make it more personal.
Well, I just think that there's a big difference whenever I pick up the phone, and you all as professional fundraisers absolutely can do this as well. It doesn't have to be a board member. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
It's there's no reason why I can't pick up the phone and sit there and reach, and you should be doing.
Yeah.
Generally the response is good with a direct contact versus a letter in the mail. Yeah.
I think
so let me give you an example. Would you recommend, let me get a question here real quick. Sister Bridget, would you recommend saying how much was raised so far this year, or just state what you've been able to accomplish? I think you can do it, like paying for a new elevator. Absolutely.
Sounds like a win. Yeah. It sounds like a win. I say share it.
Yeah.
And sister, and everyone,
because that lets people know that
they want to be involved. Yeah.
Other people have involved. That's that's a great time for you to bring on to talk about one of your big donors. Go ahead.
I was asking you a question, Jay. What do you think about, for lack of a better term, name dropping? Hey,
I think if you get the
context,
permission of the donor, if the donor says it's okay, I think it's absolutely good.
I think
I would be cautious.
Could be impactful.
Somebody may not want to,
with the right tact, it could be very impactful.
and everybody knows who I'm talking about. There's the donor that wants everybody to know that they're bidding on the item and that they're the ones that raise their hand. And there's also the one that slides a check under the door and doesn't want anybody to know it was them.
Yeah.
And that's both of those, we want to be equal opportunity receivers from both of them. But I do recommend that. I think it's a great idea. I think it's also whenever you get somebody like that comes on and, like we talked about, somebody mentioned a match, but it's a simple thing to say, hey, Trevor, hey, we appreciate everything that you've done this year. We're coming up on our year-end ask.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of asking for money, but not really, because I really want to just talk to you and tell you how much we appreciate what you've done, tell you what we're doing, and, see if you have any questions for us, see what I could do. And how would you prefer to get this? You want me to send we're going to send some stuff to you, but I can shoot you over an email with it. Yeah. Just shoot me over an email real quick.
Yeah.
They're going to talk to you about how they want to do that.
Yep.
And the other thing it's just relational.
You're building these relationships.
A friend of mine just retired. She just retired from 30 years of being a fundraiser. She ran a large nonprofit, she was the CEO of a large nonprofit. And underneath that, there were 47 nonprofits that she raised money for, basically. And, we were talking about just that. And she's still going to meetings right now, year end, with major donors. Notice I said meetings. They're actually, now part of it is a transition with the new CEO, but the part of it is, hey, we're here. We're letting you know that everything's still going great. We're, looking forward to having more, having your participation again next year. We're setting the table for it, not only for the year end, but also for the upcoming time. You're also going to get a really good feel about where they're coming from and what they're doing. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's going to give you confidence. You're going to have some people who are going to say, whoa, we're going into it. Things have slowed down for us, but that's okay. That doesn't mean it has for everybody. And in fact, a statistic that somebody used to remind me of a lot every time we'd have a downturn in the economy, during the Great Depression in the 20s and 30s, or after the crash of 29 and into the 30s, we had 25% unemployed, 25%. And this is what he reminded me of. He kept saying, but there were 75% that still were employed. Not everybody was broke. So just keep those things in mind. Even at the very, very worst, there are still people that have the significant capacity to give.
And focus on what you can control.
Yeah. Focus on what you can do.
I have a house cleaning thing. Becky, I want to make sure you can see the chat. It's important to us that you do see everyone's messages. I think we got that fixed. And also, let's see here. Or it could be the feature that you have in the chat function where it says hosts and panels. You can change that to everyone, I suppose. Jay, is that the easiest fix for Becky?
Yes.
Okay. Just change that to everyone.
3 little dots on the right side.
I'm going to refer to my tech professor, Jason. Jason, just press everyone. Yes. So hopefully you can see that, Becky. Sister, I've heard you speak and I've seen you on video, and I think your pace and your delivery, obviously your heart and everything that you do is involved with the school and put in the elevator and things like that. I think you explaining that to and asking and in your way with your pace, I actually think it would be really, really great over the phone or in person. I think you do a great job, and telling folks how much money you raised, how much it costs to get the elevator, that you accomplished the installation, paying for the elevator, for instance, you hit that goal. And then also, I still remember the restaurant group, the restaurateur that you said, totally crushed it, during the pandemic, as like a lot of pizza places did. Right. And I think that you should mention their name to some people, for instance, if you feel comfortable doing that. If they're a restaurant owner, if they're a business owner in the community, they probably are okay with that. Because they're okay with folks knowing that they're charitable. Well,
and you can just pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'm going to make some phone calls. I'm going to drop."
I gotta drop your name because you are a big guy. Yeah, exactly. Or gal that supported us tremendously in 22. Or previous. So I think, I just said, like I said, I had like a little vision or a daydream. I was just thinking about your pace and explaining that, and who better, for that message to come from than you. So I think that'd be a really good idea.
I too think too.
Okay, good. You'll do it. You won't try, sister. You'll do it.
Yeah,
you accomplish everything. You accomplish everything. You
no try. Only
you want to do anyway.
Or not do.
There's horsepower in the habit, Sister Richard. There's horsepower in the habit.
I think too. I think sometimes we get caught up in this formal ask
Mm-hmm.
when really what we need to be doing is having a conversation.
Agreed. That's how you build
And
relationships,
I
man.
mean, does anybody here have apprehensive about picking up the phone and calling a donor?
I know I have been. I know I have been. I know it's scary. I get it. I get the
Yeah, I mean,
trepidation.
it's apprehensive. I mean, Trevor and I come out of a background of sales and stuff, and you got to pick up the phone and call people and do it. And I know I used to have a lot of apprehension about it. I
Yeah.
don't now because I realize I'm just calling to have a conversation, not not to sell anything. It's just we have a conversation. But if you do, one of the simple things that just something that I do is just think of how would I want to be asked?
Mm-hmm. I love that.
How would
Yeah.
I like to be approached?
Yeah.
How would I what would make me feel comfortable if somebody picks up the phone from an organization? And, I'm not talking about cold call. These are people that know us. These are
Yep.
people that have given to us. They're on our donor list for a reason. And
Mhm.
I think that if that's the case, then they're already investing in what we're doing now with this year in ask. We're obviously looking to see if they, if they've got some money left that they want to donate. We want to be in the mix because you have to do it because there's somebody else that's going to. And if somebody's got, they're like, well, I've got
Wow.
$1,000 in my giving budget left. What am I going to do with it?
Yep.
Yes, please.
Yep. That's a real thought, man. We've said that a lot to each other before. It's like, hey, if you won't, someone else probably will.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely.
what I mean? There's someone that's not feeling. There's someone that is feeling froggy, on a Thursday, and they'll pick up the phone and build that relationship and make that call and make that ask eventually as well. So definitely,
There's a
something
guy.
to
I'm going to
realize.
talking about the phone real quick. What phone calls can do. So
Mhm.
there was a nonprofit. They needed to raise money. It was a camp. They needed to raise money for a pool. So they had their list of donors. They picked up the phone, started calling it, and the executive director, he agreed. We kind of set what we were going to do. He made 3 phone calls a day
I remember this. Yeah.
and wound up raising like
Raised a lot of money.
$125,000 in 3
Yeah.
months' time,
Yeah.
which was about, they needed to raise 300 grand. And I think they got halfway to it. They wound up finishing up, raised enough money to get it, but this was like a 90 days deal. But one of the things that happened because he was picking up the phone and having a conversation,
Yeah.
he talks to somebody, a gentleman who just had an exit in a business.
Oh wow.
And that one phone call, he got $60,000.
That's cool, man. Yeah, timing
Because,
too. Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
think,
he would have
yeah.
not have known. It wasn't like it was published. It wasn't something that he knew. That he just knew this guy had gone. This guy went to this camp as a kid. His kids went to the camp.
Yeah.
And he was figuring his grandkids were going to go
that's cool,
someday.
man.
And he's like, hey,
Yeah.
you remember the pool? How much fun it is. We need
Yeah.
a new pool.
Yep. I love that.
And the guy goes, you know what? It just so happens I just happen to have an exit, and I've got some money for you. And I think he gave 160,000 and then did like another 60,000 a match. Actually, is what he did, and that's how they got it done. But my point is, they would have never known just by sending out a letter. They would have
Mhm.
never known that by doing that. And so this opportunity came to have that conversation to go deeper
Mhm.
with this donor.
Great opportunity.
Yeah, and I
Sorry.
don't think-
Yeah. Sorry to keep preaching this, man. I can't speak enough to being different and how well it's worked for us in talking to people we get to talk to and taking extra time to speak to people when other people won't or whatever. You cannot underestimate the power of differentiation, especially in business. And I'm lopping everything together because you're still in business to raise money and to forward your mission. Being different, making that phone call, even when it feels hard, even when you got to muster up everything that you can to dial those numbers. You'll be surprised the impact that it has. Being different is such a gift. It's never been easier. I call it the pink elephant in the room full of gray elephants. It's never been easier to be different, to respond to people faster, to say thank you when they're not expecting it. And when you think everything's okay and you're like, they're fine, I won't say anything. No, pick up the phone and thank them. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Well,
it's like,
yeah.
God, it's worked. It's worked.
Well, keep going because you've
splendidly.
already done something that other people aren't doing. You've showed up to a webinar to learn something, or you're
Yeah.
listening to it. You're listening to the recording,
Yeah.
and you're searching for this information, searching for the data. How
Yeah.
can we be better? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people out there are just checking boxes.
Yeah.
Did we get our
Yeah.
year-end letter out? Yep, got that done.
Yeah. And that, hey, listen, that's okay. It's so funny because we're reverse engineering those 3 questions that we were asking about. Like, hey, if there's something on the horizon or bad things happening in the world, which inevitably there always are, by the way, just, take some time what you want to pay attention to. There's always something horrible going on in the world. It's a very big world, by the way. And I think that we all need to have some perspective, right? But, one of the questions that we were talking about with the whole, like, you have an obligation to keep doing what you're doing and providing, the services that you provide. We have an obligation. We went through COVID, feeling like we had an obligation to continue to provide, coaching, expertise, auction items, software, time, things of that nature. We felt more obligated than ever, and it worked. And, I think no matter what happens in the world, if you have a heart for your mission and you care and you love what you do, for instance, put that pressure on yourself and be comfortable with it, because you have an obligation to push, especially if things get weird in 2023 or what have
and
you,
just look back at what you did. Pick out three big. Pick out, if you've only got one big win, or 2 or 3. Pick out the top 3 wins that you have, and call people to celebrate.
Love that.
And hey, this is what we did.
That's juice.
But, it's not stopping here. We're going to keep on going. This is what we got lined up for 23, and we'd like you to be a part of it starting right now.
That's mobilizing, man. It's energizing.
And I cannot tell you how hard, as somebody who is asked a lot, just in my community, okay, not from nonprofits. We were just in my community who's been asked a lot. It's hard to say no. I'm going to tell you, it is hard to say no when somebody calls you at some level. Maybe I can't write a check for $20,000, but I can write a check for $200. Okay. You're going to be surprised what's going to happen whenever you make that ask and make that request and you do it. And that's why I just, think that if you're doing it, has anybody else had any experience with that? Obviously, you guys are making calls when you're getting ready for your fundraiser and your galas and, selling tables and reaching out for underwriting. But what about the year end? How many of y'all have personally done this, or you personally do it now at year end?
That's a great question.
Just raise your hand. You don't have to do it on the chat. You can just hit the little hand raise. And awesome. Sharon,
cool.
Thank you. Caitlin, good. So, cool. Okay, so now that you raised your hand and put yourself out there, what were the results?
Love it.
Has it been good? Has it been hard? I mean,
all the above.
Yeah. Just put it down there. You can put it down there in chat, or if you want to, just put it in the Q&A, and I'll talk about it. Any questions as we're going along? See, don't be shy. We're going to put you out there.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't. That's the fee for coming on. We need you to share. But good stuff, man. Good stuff regardless. But this is my first year in position, so I'm excited to see the impact. Good. Cool. Yeah. Awesome, Caitlin. Heck yeah.
And I tell you, here's a really good, easy thing to do. Don't wait and try to do it all in the last week. Start now. I challenge everybody here to get the list of your top 10% of your donors, whether that's 5 or 500. Just take that top 10%, put them out there, and just maybe make 3 or 4 phone calls a day. Figure out how many, between now and the first week of December, and see what it's going to take. What would it's going to take if you to reach out and talk to every one of them, and then just make 2 or 3 calls a day. Commit to that. And when you do, and you're following up with that, it's going to make a significant impact. And if you get through that and you say, well, our top, we don't have that big of a donor base and we're doing it, that's okay. Because you get a chance to talk to them and say, would you mind sharing this with 3 people? I'm going to shoot you over an email. Would you share it with 3 people you think that would like to be part of our mission?
Smart. Super smart.
Then you get people who are committed to you, because the biggest fans, your biggest donors are your biggest fans. Yep. They want to see you succeed. They want you to do well. They want to share.
They've
this
had a
with
family
you.
member be impacted by your services,
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, absolutely.
For some reason, they're tied to you.
Yeah.
And, figuring out what that is, number one, but number two, getting them to come on board with you.
Love it. Great idea.
Mary Sue just asked,
Question.
She said, you may have answered this, but when you call, what message do you leave on a voicemail if they don't answer? So let me tell you what I do.
Yeah.
If I know that this is a cell phone, this is what I personally do. I will say, hey, Trevor, hey, it's Jason. Hey, I just want to reach out to you real quick. I'm going to shoot you a text message as well. But, if you get a chance, please give me a call back. Love to visit with you. And that's it. Now, I'm going to say, hey, this is Jason with ABC Charity. I'm not going to just leave it blank. But if they know who I am, hey, this is Jason with HGA. Love to have a few minutes with you. Give me a call back when you can. And then I'm going to follow up with a text message, maybe even a video message, depending on. But if I have a relationship of some kind, I'm just going to say, hey, Trevor, shoot me give me, if you got 5 to 10 minutes, let me know. I'd love to visit with you. That's all you have to do.
I love it. I love it. Bev, I'm waiting for your question.
Yeah, Bev, hit it.
Yep.
Does that help, Mary Sue?
Thanks, Mary Sue, for sharing about making calls.
And if you don't, if you don't know them. If I don't know them, so if I don't know them, but they've donated to us in the past, this is how I'm going to specifically do it. I'm going to say, hey, Trevor, hey, it's Jason with HGA Charity. And I know that you've been a great partner with us in the past. And I just wanted to visit with you for a few minutes and just talk about what we've got going on. When you have a few minutes, please give me a call.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. Love it.
Because that's really all that's if I'm
concise
truly doing this, if I really care about what they have to say, about what their impact is, then that's what I need to do. They're asking for money to go along with it. They're going to know that you're probably going to ask them for money at some point. Yeah. But you don't have to just sit there and go, hey, but if you because you don't have a relationship with them, you need to find out what they're about.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you do if they never call back? Cheryl said, and if they don't call you back, what's your next step? Again, if it's a text, they sent that, I'm going to make a phone call from my personal cell phone, and I'm going to shoot them a text and say, hey, Trevor, I just left you a voicemail. When you have 5 minutes, please give me a call back. Jason Ledlow, ABC Charity.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, also, no means no right now. It doesn't mean no forever. So, hey, life happens. People are busy. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Yeah. Don't take that. Don't wear that. Just keep plotting. That's what I say. I want to get to Bev's question. Jason's going to answer this better than me. I want to say it's definitely in the same vein, though, Bev. She said, not an end of the year request, but what do you suggest about making calls now for 2023 events so we can be in the budget before all money is spent? And I think, like I said, it's in the same vein, but
I think it absolutely is.
You want to call your fans.
You're having a conversation.
Yeah.
You're having a conversation with somebody. You're not just talking to them about anything and everything. It's not tunnel vision.
Yeah.
We've got our event coming up next year. We want to make sure that number one, you're in the budget. We're also looking for a year-end ask. If you don't specifically do a year-end ask, but you're trying to be in the budget because you got a sponsor, that's a great time to do it, because they are going to start getting their budget together. They are going to start deciding what they want to put forth for 23 in their giving budget. And you want to make sure you get in there. Because the last thing that we don't want to have is somebody goes, oh yeah, we've already set our budget.
Or, oh, I wish you would have asked me. Yeah, exactly. I thought it would be a good, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to give them sponsorship and underwriting opportunities for that event.
If you've got it ready, sure.
Yeah.
Especially a broad, very broad.
Start planting that seed.
Yeah, start planting that seed to say, hey, you were a sponsor last year. We want to make sure that you come in this year with us, and just that we're on your radar. I think it's a great time to have those conversations. Yeah, we're in all the way.
I have
so and you document that. Yeah, we're in all the way.
Yeah.
Boom, I've got that down. I know that Trevor Nelson.
Yep.
When I talked to him on December 20 or October 27th, he said, "Yes, I'm in."
Do not forget that. Yep. Very good.
Because
I got a funny.
You don't want to get to what I mean. You don't want to wait till you get your committee meeting. And go, golly, who could
I
we
wish
call?
we had that. Yeah. Totally. Great idea. I don't think there's any, I mean, there's no harm in preparing and planning that way. Absolutely not, Bev. So like I said, um, for sure, definitely in the same vein and definitely
You
sharing the
guys
same
need to have a
messaging.
conversation. If you're only talking to your donors one time a year and it's the end of the year,
I think people
you're
feel
talking to
that.
your
I don't think most people like that, Jay. You know what I mean? If you're only touching them once, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're only,
well,
if
we
you're only
talk
picking the
about
phone,
gratitude 7 times.
I mean, it's got to be, yeah.
If
It's
we're
gotta
thanking
be
them
something.
7 times, if we're, that's kind of the rule out there is, for every time they make a gift, you thank them 7 times. Doesn't mean you have to write a formal letter, but it just means that you're doing that.
I think you stay in front of them. I think you stay in front of them because they're important. Making a decision to build relationships with people, making a decision to keep those relationships strong are exactly that. It's a mindset. It takes discipline, but you're making that decision, whether you have to write it down, plan it, whatever it takes, but you're making a decision to keep those relationships strong. You can do that in your personal life. You can do that in your business life. That's a decision. That's intentional. It takes discipline, as mentioned, but it can be done. And it takes contact. You have to make contact with these people. I blended it into personal life and relationships in your personal life. But what friend wants to only hear from their friend once a year? You know what I mean? You're not really my friend, are you? I mean, I know people go their separate ways and life takes us in crazy turns and we're all very, very busy. And I get that. But it's worked out tremendously in my life, making a decision to keep my relationships as strong as possible in business. I'm not perfect at it, and in my personal life. And I actually think that the two can be blended together. And I think there's nowhere to go but up from there. I had a really funny response to Cheryl's. Thanks for always sharing, by the way, Cheryl, being so willing. She said, what do you do if they never call back? And I was going to say, that's never happened to us. They always call back. We're batting 1,000. I gotta be saying, it's an at-bats game, Cheryl, and it's so funny. It's like, I grew up playing baseball, and everyone can understand this. It's like, so if you have a career in baseball, let's just say you make it to the big leagues, and you fail. Let's say you're a hitter, a position player, and you fail 7 out of 10 times in your entire career. You're probably going to be one of the best baseball players of all time. So it's a game of failure, right? So if you hit 300 for 20 years, if you're Derek Jeter, for instance, or what have you, you're going to the Hall of Fame. And you failed 7 out of 10 times. You know,
a lot of these guys are failing 5 out of 10 times, 6 out of 10 times, and they're still making millions. It's hard.
Oh, some of them are failing 8 out of 10. Yeah, it's crazy.
They just keep getting up to bat. Yeah.
So I always liken it to the mental game of baseball because it is so fleeting, right? And it's a failure sport, right? There's a game of failure, as they call it. That's the moniker. I apply the same, ideology to those calls and to, hey, everyone goes to bat with the intentions being good, right? Whether you're a home run hitter or you're a singles hitter or what have you, it doesn't matter. They're all wins and they move people around the bases, so to speak. All these baseball analogies are fun, but it is a game of failure. You have to be okay with that. And I'm also a massive believer. We're optimists. That's just that's the DNA. But no means no right now. It does not mean no forever. And I'm a big believer in that. And there's power in no because you actually got another at bat, explaining your mission to someone. Let's say they say no because it's not in their budget, but you've taken the time and it's only going to sharpen your tools, so to speak. So think about it in that regard as well. It's not all lost.
Well, I want to just talk about technology real quick for just a second and something to think about whenever we talk about text messages and emails and stuff like that. And when somebody doesn't call us back, I probably get
great idea, Cheryl. 10
to 20 calls a day that are spam. Now, my phone tells me on some of them and some of them it doesn't. Anybody else have that?
Yeah, okay. Mine does.
Anybody else get those?
Yeah, mine does.
Am I the only one? So, because of that, I know that whenever I reach out to somebody that I'm calling them, that they may see that number and just dump it into deal. And some people don't listen to voicemail. They just don't. Or it takes them forever to get to it and you call and, it's loaded up because full. Doesn't mean they don't care about your call. They just really don't know who you are. So just another idea to follow up on that because they may not call you back. If you've got their contact information, you shoot them a text and says, hey, Trevor, this is Jason Ledlow with ABC Charity. I just wanted to reach out to you. I left you a voicemail, but I wanted to reach to you about your ear and stuff. I'm going to shoot you an email. Don't need to call me back. You know, if I'd love to talk to you if you have time, but if you don't, that's okay too. I'm also going to shoot you an email. Now I've taken, I've done that so they can make that call. They can call me back if they want to talk to me. But maybe I just shoot them an email and says, hey, just left, I shot you a text and left you a voicemail, but I wanted to follow up in the email. We're at our year-end ask. Here's the stuff, information. It's very personal because you told them. Maybe they don't want to talk to you. Maybe they won't talk to you because they're busy. Maybe they're
something happened in life.
They're going to write you a check, but they just, they're busy. They got stuff going on and they forget. I mean, we have days like that. We have days where it's like, holy smokes. Trevor talked to me the other day and he goes, he said, I've had like 40 phone calls and 20 emails or something.
Yeah, I had a heck of a day. Yeah, my brain was mush. I had 13 client calls on Monday.
Yeah. So
wild.
You got to just take it for what it is. But I would the first thing is, don't let somebody not calling you back or taking your phone call mean anything.
Don't take anything personally. Don't make any assumptions.
They're getting spammed all the time. They don't take your call.
Yeah.
And then, that's why I said I personally like to use a cell phone because that way I can text them. Mm-hmm. And I know some people don't want to do that, and that's fine. Maybe you got a policy about that. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But I know that text messages are so much easier to do. And I'm not talking about, a mass text. I'm talking about a specific text. Because I do that. We have, we'll have a donor client. I need to call it. I need to talk to him about something. I'll call him and then I'll shoot him a deal. Say, hey, this is Jason Ledlow. I just left you a voicemail. Please give me a call back about whatever the subject is. And, it just lets him know that this wasn't just some random call that I was spamming him for something. So just a thought. I would give it a week. Mary Sue asked the time frame to reach back out to somebody. I would give it a week because maybe they're out of town. Because I could, if like there was a couple of weeks ago I was out and I pretty much got all my phone calls. But maybe you're out of the country. Maybe you're gone. Maybe you can't make that call. But typically a week's fine.
I think a week's that was my answer too. I think that was great. Trip, that out of nowhere, but it made me think of something, Jason. A book that I've been giving away more than any other book in my life. The 4 Agreements. I've given it to Jason's wife, Don Miguel Ruiz, and it made me think of it. You said, you don't know what's going on. One of the 4 agreements, don't take anything personally. Another one, don't make assumptions. Another one, always do your best. Very simple, great read. As a matter of fact, we'll send you one if you respond to the show notes when we send out the recording. Give us your address, respond to Courtney, our media coordinator, in that email that she sends out with the recording. Respond to her with your address and we'll send you one as a gift from HG. I thought it was really an impactful book. I've been giving it away to as many people as I can. And I just ordered a bunch of them and it was really, really impactful for me. The actual first agreement was called Be Impeccable with Your Word. And I think it's kind of an interesting message to go along with today because don't make assumptions. You never know what's going on. Don't take anything personally. No means no right now. It doesn't mean no forever. You're always going to do your best because that's your job. I mean, right? If you're doing your job, you're always going to do your best. I mean, we believe in that. And the one that you read this first chapter of this book, Be Impeccable with Your Word, it's going to blow your hair back. So, and it's a short read. So it's perfect for guys like me that can't sit still. So I blew through it. Holy smokes. It's a good one. But anyway,
all right. So, hey, respond back. You're going to get a free copy of the book.
Hey, book talk with Jason and Trevor.
Yeah, last question, because I'm going to draw a winner here in just a second, so don't take off. And I've got the winner pulled up.
Ooh, sounds like a basketball game.
It could be, man. They're winning stuff. We're winners around here.
Yeah, it sounds like you just made a 3-point shot.
Mary Sue Hurt. Everybody
okay.
Mary Sue. You just
Mary
won a
Sue.
trip.
Yeah.
You just won a trip that you can use for your next fundraiser to raise more money.
Right.
And if anybody has any questions or you want some time, we're actually going to make this available for everybody when this goes out. We're going to put I think we're putting a Calendly link on here.
This is new.
You can schedule a meeting with myself or Trevor, or you can just reach out to us, Jason at hgafundraising.com, Trevor at hgafundraising.com. we're here to help you any way we can. And if we don't know, we know somebody who does know. We'll connect you with them.
We are fundraising enthusiasts, and we do know a lot of people. And listen, I thought about it. I said, oh, we're really putting our money where our mouth is. And it's actually more valuable than that. We're putting our time where our mouth is, because we keep telling people, reach out to us if you want to continue this conversation. If you have any questions for us, if you didn't get to something, hey, Lowell, good to see you, brother. Hope you're well. And also, hey, I can't guarantee that I'm going to have all the answers, but if you want to talk about good books, you can hit my Calendly link.
Yeah, if you're looking for a book review, talk to Trevor, because if you call me, I'm going to talk about historical fiction, and you
want to talk about failing at baseball and being out of the game by 20. Get on my Calendly. We'll talk about loss and stuff like that. I'm fine with that, and how you can rise above. But can't thank everyone enough for being here live and for listening. This is going to live on for a while. You can catch it on YouTube as well, and let us know, give us some comments and things of that nature. As Jason mentioned, we'll have our Calendly link so we can set up a time to call. If you're planning an event, we're happy to help. If you have some questions about something off the wall, we're game for that, because we talk about crazy stuff. So as well as fundraising. So take us up on the offer, y'all. So can't thank you all.
Hey, I got one last request.
Yeah.
When you get the email with the recording, would you do us a huge solid and just forward it to another nonprofit professional? Just forward this and say, hey, take a check this out.
If you got anything good out of it. Yeah.
If you got anything good out of it.
Yeah.
Do us a favor, share that. We're just trying to get the word out for as many people as we can.
Yeah.
And
well, you got a favor. You asked a favor. Can I ask a favor? I'm not trying to one up you. I have another favor to ask. Hey, nonprofits, raise more money. I want to make it the #1 podcast in the nonprofit universe. We're really close. We got to be at least 3 or 4 at this point. I thought we were #1. Then Courtney gave me the data. She's like, well, you guys have really only been doing this for a few months. I'm like, okay. So putting the cart in front of the horse. So check it out. Apple, Spotify. You can even watch it on YouTube. Hey, nonprofits, raise more money. We just did a really cool one about who HGA is and the fact that we're a family business. And I'm so proud of that. And they're short, and you can listen to it on the commute or on the treadmill or on your bike or doing whatever you do, or at home.
They're less. I promise you, they're less than 50.
Having a cocktail with someone you love, you can listen to a podcast, and they can, listen to our voice. But that's my favorite. No more favors. Okay, I'm done. Thank you all so much. That's fantastic. Thank you, brother. We'll see you all next Thursday for episode 90. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.